Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and for today's review we're going to take a look at the new DC Comics Multiverse Batman Arkham Knight Robin figure from Mattel. Now this 4-inch figure comes packaged in the same style of multiverse packaging we've seen with previous figures in this series. It's got the orange and yellow card back with scenes from like the video game. Up at the top it tells you it's highly detailed and authentic and for adult collectors, and then you have the Batman Arkham Knight logo and the DC Multiverse logo, and then underneath that you have a picture of the Robin character from the video game and a look at the figure inside the packaging, and then the name of the character down below. On the back of the packaging we once again have a look at the Robin character from the video game, the Batman Arkham Knight logo, a little brief bio about the DC Multiverse line, and then some stats for Robin. And then finally a look at other figures in this assortment. So we have Scarecrow, Red Hood, and Batman, all based on the Arkham Knight video game. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging, and as I mentioned before, this figure is based on the upcoming Batman Arkham Knight video game, which actually hasn't even been released yet. So these figures are starting to sprinkle out before the game's release. This is one of the first figures based on that video game. DC Collectibles is going to be doing some figures based on the video game as well, but those are a ways off and will be in 7-inch scale. So the figure, basically this version of Robin, he has a hood which is sculpted in two different parts, the part around his head, and then he's got a different portion sculpted around his neck. So that way basically he can turn his head without any kind of restriction there, which is nice. This figure has a soft goods cape, which is not typical with this line up to this point. Most of the capes in this line have had more of a vinyl type material, more solid, vinyl type material. The Michael Keaton Batman figure did have a soft goods type cape, but even that one was more of a kind of a leathery type material, whereas this one is completely feels like cloth. And it just kind of hangs there. Some nice shading on the shirt for the most part. You can see some darker red down here in the stomach area, and then a lighter red on the chest and such. Now he's got the little silver R on his chest. Now one thing I do want to point out is on his shoulders you can see some discoloration coming through on the joints, which kind of like blackened, so it makes those joints kind of stand out. Other than that, I think the paint apps are fairly decent. There is also one other, on my particular figure, you can see there's a green paint splotch on the back of his leg. But otherwise, I don't have any problems with the paint. He's got gold metallic on his utility belt, black on his legs and arms, and then green metallic paint for his wrist guards and on his boots and knee pads. Probably the most disappointing thing about this figure to me is the fact that it comes with no accessories at all, not even the bow staff that he's pictured with on the card back, unfortunately. Now he does have one open hand where he can hold something, and then a closed-fisted hand. So if you can find like a bow staff from, like I took this one from my Gambit figure from my Marvel line and gave it to him. So if you can find something like that, he can at least hold it. But unfortunately he does not come with any accessory of his own, and this seems to be a trend with this line. I don't know if Mattel is trying to cut costs or what, but none of the figures in the latest wave seem to have any kind of accessories. So this figure stands just under 4 inches tall. I haven't played the video game, so I don't really know how tall this Robin is supposed to be, but here he is next to the Batman figure from the first wave of multiverse figures, and you can see Batman is a little bit taller, so I would assume Batman should be at least a little bit taller. So for the most part, I guess the scale seems to be pretty good with this figure. Articulation on this figure is pretty much what you've come to expect from all the figures in this line. Nothing added really, but so he can turn his head left and right with no problem. Arms are on those ball hinge joints, so he can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation at the arm. Single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow pretty good. And then he's got swivels at the wrist. No ab crunch at all on these figures, but he does have a swivel at the waist. Then the legs are on those hinges, so he can get his legs out good, do the splits really good. And for this figure, he can get his leg forward good, but he can't really do it back with the way the leg and the butt are sculpted. So you can do out, but not back. He's got a single hinge knee, so he can bend his knee pretty good. And then there's no, and he does have a thigh swivel. But there's no ankle articulation, unfortunately, on these figures. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. That's my review. Overall, I mean, it's not a bad figure. It's a little disappointing that there's no accessories, you know, kind of makes it for a boring figure. I definitely think that, you know, I don't like how Mattel bills this as for adult collectors and highly authentic, you know, no accessories, and you know, I don't think the details on the figure are bad, but this isn't what I would call a collector figure. So the, you know, the packaging is a little misleading in that regard, but you know, like I said, if you've been collecting this line, you know what to pretty much expect. Though, like I said, you know, some of the previous figures did have accessories, and now it seems like we're not getting any accessories with the figure. So that's the most disappointing thing I find with this particular figure. Articulation, again, you know what to expect. So, you know, I would love to see ankle joints, maybe an ab crunch of some kind, but you know it's not going to be on these figures. So if you buy it, you know what you're going to get. So that's my review. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.